Hi, welcome to Candor Beach. I'm Ashish.
Hi, I'm Sailesh. So, what are we talking today, Ashish?
I was thinking, so the other day I was looking up this UX article, this user research oriented article, which talked about how during the world wars, the US government looked at building out aircrafts, and to build out the perfect cockpit, they decided to take the average height and reach of pilots, the pilots that they had, and build out a cockpit.
Hmm.
What they realized after, though, was that this resulted in more crashes than ever before. The thing was that the median measurement of the pilots, like because each human being has unique measurements, the median did not fit the average. And so most pilots were flying uncomfortably, and that was what resulted in more crashes than ever before. I think what we can learn from that is a certain degree of personalization, a certain degree of customization is essential. I think that is what we should be talking about today. What are
Yeah.
your thoughts?
So since you brought up the World War II, I will give you a small number. Actually, the
Oh, small
F-35
number.
F-35 helmet costs $400,000.
That is a
Which
small number. Yeah,
yeah, very
I
small
see what
number.
you mean. Four
And
hundred thousand dollars.
yeah, and the entire the seating module, where the cockpit where they sit down, is
Yeah.
totally customizable for the pilot. Like I would give you why I will tell you why it's 400,000 because it gives that tactical data. It comes up onto the screen, so it has that like night vision already in the helmet display, and the best part, it's bulletproof.
How fast does an F-35 fly?
I think Mach 3.5, I believe.
All right, so is a sniper ever going to be able to shoot? What's the
No, no,
point of
no.
it being bulletproof?
Let's say like what do you call when they go on the dog fight.
Yeah.
So
Oh, right.
yeah, so when they're on a dog fight, let's say if the other airplane is shooting at you, this one can protect your face because that's what's mostly exposed, right? So the wind, the glass, everything is about your face is exposed. So
See, my
that
experience of
protects you.
dogfights is from Top Gun.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know enough. I felt like people typically just shot at the body of the aircraft. But all right, maybe it makes sense. I don't know enough.
Yeah.
But that's a funny fact.
I mean, it protects it. Entire thing protects the pilot. There is, if you talk about customization, there's even memory foam, which bends to your body. Like it fixes to your body, and it actually gives you that customization for each pilot in himself. So that is in itself customization for the pilot.
Fair. Now I'm going to talk about other instances of personalization, just because. Um, so when you said memory foam, I was thinking about beds, but beds aren't any fun. But what you do on the bed in terms of like when I'm trying to go to bed, I'm typically with my iPad watching Netflix or Amazon Prime or what have you. So I was thinking about personalization in terms of that. You know how you get those recommendations
Mm.
tailored to what you might like? Those are fantastic. And I mean, I understand how the recommendation algorithm works. It typically looks at your watch history, looks at what you've, the genres, and it captures the various attributes that of the programming that you have watched, and then delivers very powerful recommendations. And this is something that Amazon uses even when you're shopping with them. E-commerce platforms use them all across. Like because you've bought bread, why don't you consider milk as well? It's a concept called brand lift, wherein you can calculate the lift of one product with respect to another, or a basket of products with respect to another. and identify, like, if someone's bought bread and milk, they are very likely to maybe want to buy eggs as well, or they are very unlikely to want to buy fish with this. And therefore, don't put fish next to the bread and eggs, or maybe consider putting milk next to the bread and eggs, because that increases your chance to sell that additional product. It increases customer satisfaction, because as an individual, I may not have thought about buying eggs, but I wanted eggs, or I may not have thought of buying milk, but I wanted milk. And it helps with everybody's experience. You're basically making the pie larger.
Subconscious programming.
Conscious programming of sorts, yeah, I guess
Yeah.
so.
So just like how they do in stores, the eyeline marketing,
Yeah.
so that's how exactly you do in see, I mean, I don't know if you noticed, if you said something and your phone's listening, the phone's always listening to you, and all of a sudden you get these prompts saying that you are you looking for this product, that is basically personalization in
How
itself, right?
often how often does that happen? I
It
think I was
happened to
talking
me.
to my
It
yeah.
happened 3 or 4 times.
I was talking to my parents yesterday, and my dad said something, and then my mom searched for something on YouTube, like just like a couple of words.
Hmm.
And the prompt that showed up was exactly what my dad was talking about. The other day, I was having a WhatsApp group chat. Like the other day, like last year, I was having a WhatsApp group chat about the price of a product. And the funny thing is, someone from the group chat, like later, they wrote about how Google just prompted them with that product,
Hmm.
like for no good reason. It just appeared in their advertisements.
So I'll give you. It happened to me recently, actually. So I was talking to my dad about submersible water pumps, and next thing I know, like a day after that, I'm looking, and one of the advertisements that shows up was from Industry Buy, submersible water oil filled pumps. Like wow, and
Crazy.
I didn't even search, nothing.
That's crazy. Now, what are your thoughts on that? Is that a good thing or is that creepy? I mean, it could be both, but
It'll help,
what's your take?
but it's a huge invasion of privacy. Like that's why if you look at it, Google is also slowly removing the third-party cookies. They're gonna get rid of third-party cookies. Go into first person data, first party data.
Yeah, they're talking about zero party and first party data, but like an advantage that Google platforms like Google and Amazon enjoy by getting in the zero party data is that now you have to, like, if you want to advertise on their platform, you are going to have to, you're contractually obliged to reach out to them for that information. Like they can now charge you for that data. So there are advantages to what they're doing. I wouldn't say that it's entirely altruistic.
It's not altruistic. I would say it's more capitalistic. They're making money. They're actually it helps. It helps the customer. Yeah, you're personalizing it, but how much of this data is actually being, nefariously used against you?
I don't think the intent is to use this data nefariously. Like that is why you have laws like GDPR, and California state has its own set of privacy protection laws, wherein you as an individual can write into this company and ask them to delete your data after, and they will do so. They're forced by law to comply. So you are protected, and companies like Apple, for instance, they specify how your information is saved on device. Like even Apple does not have access to your data. So I don't think the intent is for nefarious use. The intent is to is to basically grow the pie, like I was talking about earlier.
Hmm.
Like the company benefits, they make money, and you find what you're looking for. I think that's the intent.
Yeah. So, what do you think will be a very good use case scenarios, like probably with personalization?
So we talked about recommendations in e-commerce. We talked about streaming, right? Like when you're watching content. I would say personalization from a like back in the day, we had like before mass market, back in the day, we had concepts where, like when you visited the tailor took your measurements. Like you couldn't walk into a, like there was no thing such thing as a supermarket or like a retail store like Calvin Klein or Tommy Hilfiger
Hmm.
where you could just walk in and buy t-shirts. You had to go to a tailor, get fitted, and then get clothes that were tailored to you. The whole concept came, the word bespoke came
Hmm.
from the phrase been spoken for. Like
Yeah.
that material has been spoken for, and therefore you can't have it. That concept of tailorization got watered down. That
Yeah.
concept got watered down, and then you had mass market stuff. And now I feel like we are in an era where we are going back to that in every respect. Like with respect to clothes, in India, you have this company called Bombay Shirts that I quite like. Um, they're not sponsoring this video, obviously, but I quite like them. So you get to pick the material, the look that you want. You can customize it by you. I don't know, like a short sleeve shirt can be a long sleeve shirt. You can change the collars. You can add embroidery in specific areas. They allow a certain degree of customization, and at the end of the day, you are left with clothes that someone else does not necessarily have. At least it would be very hard for someone else to have the same possess the same initials as you stitched onto your shirt fabric if you so wished. Designer clothes sort of work in the same principle, but not really. Like the ones that are accessible to the general public, like as an example, Shantanu Nikhil, they are again expensive fish, but mass market again. So there is a balance to. I feel like I'm using your words. You use the word balance so often. I don't know if you realize that, but there needs to be there is a certain balance between personalization, which is affordable, and personalization, which makes sure that you as an individual are getting the utility that you like, that you deserve. I think
Yeah.
that's where we're steering towards things with personalization.
So add on to that, there was a company which you can actually, I believe it was Shoe Zero. So literally, you can customize your entire shoe, like from the sole to the top. If you want a high top, a low top, the color. You can choose how well it fits your, like even the
The
boot,
soul,
the sandals, how much a grip do you want on the sole, everything. So that's the full customization. Nike tried to do it. Nike had that, like you can customize with like basic colors and stuff.
they have
Yeah,
modular customization, I think.
but
ASICS does this as well, right? Like where they look at the soles of your feet, see what your typical tread is, and then decide on whether
the
you need.
contour.
Yeah.
Yeah, so some people have like flat foot, and some people have, like the arch is way bigger. So you need like plantar support. So these are things which will actually help when you start doing personalization with shoes. Just like tailor made, just like how we were talking about tailor made clothes.
Hmm.
It fits you perfectly.
Right. Now, you're a healthcare expert, at least your background's in healthcare.
Mhm.
Can you give me examples of personalization that have benefited healthcare at this point in time?
Healthcare, it's an abyss actually. Personalization now that happens in like targeted therapies with regards to cancer, and
Hmm.
second thing they do is targeted therapies for HIV. So there are a bunch of stuff like that. First of all, let's talk about targeted therapy in cancer. So what they do, they take, previously, before target therapy for cancer, they used to have chemotherapy. So they give you medication, and it affects just not the cancer cells, the entire class of cells which are in that area. So you actually hurting your normal somatic cells. Somatic meaning normal human cells, like which didn't become cancerous. And
Okay.
then you have the other therapy called radiation therapy. Radiation therapy is, let's say you have a tumor in a certain area, so they attack this area with radiation and kill that cells. But then it also affects an entire area of cells right next to it. So that's why if you notice, if you people who take chemotherapy lose hair, because it causes a lot of follicular damage. However, once you go into the modern personalized targeted therapy, what it does is like they go and stop literally that particular cancer cells functioning. Like they can do, cancer cells make blood vessels for them to get more blood, right? So they can. It's called stopping angiogenesis. Angiogenesis meaning stopping the growth of blood vessels towards the cells. So they can do a targeted way that they stop the blood vessel growth just for the cancer cells and not for anything else across it. So that's targeted therapy.
I was reading something about nanobots assisting with
Hmm.
that. Is that how it's going to be done or is being
Nanobots,
done?
there's a lot more technology research needs to be done. There's something called a self-repairing nanobots. So they inject these nanobots, but there's a lot more work to be done because FDA there's a lot of regulatory battle towards it. But then the concept behind it is they inject these nanobots. Nanobots go into the body, and they start self-repairing the body, or target your body cells to that area where they have to start repairing your own self body. It'll guide your T cells, or it guides your immune system to work towards it.
That sounds fantastic. And so does that mean that we have arrived at a cure for cancer finally?
Cure for cancer, I believe it's already there, but they believe they already got I believe a prostate cancer cure, or there was a cure for a certain cancer which I was reading recently in the Nature. A certain particular cancer, not everything, but each one is different, right? So targeted therapy affects each cancer differently. Like you have leukemia, like blood cancer.
Blood cancer.
That how are you gonna actually target that? And it goes all around your body. So those are stuff. That's when the nanobots come into play because it can go all around the body. It goes with the blood. But unlike
That's a
the
funny way of saying personalization. Yeah, it is definitely personalized to you.
Yeah, I mean, not everybody gets the same kind of cancer, right? So some people might get, what do you call leukemia? Some people might get, what do you call the lymph node cancer? Where all the
And their
lymph.
reaction is different as well, right?
Yeah,
Like to
yeah.
different drugs.
Everybody
Yeah.
is different. So just giving a cookie cutter kind of therapy is not the best way to do.
Which leads to another question that I have. Like,
Hmm.
where are you on gathering patient data? So what we've been talking about is obviously patient data is very sensitive. Like I wouldn't want my medical records exposed. I don't think you'd want that.
Hmm.
It was such a fiasco when Serena Williams's patient data was exposed a few years ago, I think. I don't remember. Like there was some tournament, and right before that, Indian Wells or something of that sort, medical report was exposed. Venus Williams, at least. So it isn't nice. It isn't fun. Obviously, it's terrible for the person affected. Medical data collection, it clearly helps with personalization. Like the more data I have on you as an individual, the more targeted my treatment can be.
Yeah.
But you have all of these regulations controlling what data can be collected. Do you know of ways where data can be collected, de-identified perhaps, and then that's somehow providing targeted therapy to these individuals?
Um, in countries like America, HIPAA laws actually, there's something called HIPAA. So it
Yeah.
actually prevents you from accessing data like that. So you have to go through a huge process of paperwork to actually do that. So because you cannot just randomly get somebody's data, but what they actually can do, they can get the data without the person's exact name. So you can go with a class of
De-identified.
yeah, de-identify. So you can go with a class of people. Like say they are in this particular. So let's say a bunch of people are having leukemia, for example, and they can actually categorize those set of people, take their data, and work on personalizing just on class and not just individually. Individually, it'll become very, very, because if there's any leak, it's going to expose the entire data.
I understand, but you don't operate with the idea that things are going to go wrong. That you operate with the idea that things are going to succeed. So this, if there's a leak, I don't. It's a rational thought. You need to protect yourself from that, certainly. But with the advent of wearables, like I have an Apple Watch, you have your Garmin watches, you have those patches which measure your like ultra human, I think, those patches where
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can measure your
sugar, body,
right.
blood sugar.
Yeah, so shouldn't there be a way where companies don't need to know who they're treating or how they're treating that individual, but gather all of this data in a centralized repository? Like you have my blood glucose levels, you have my heart rate, my resting heart rate, my whatever active heart rate, whatever vitals you require. Gather that and then make sure that I stay healthy throughout. Like if I'm in danger of falling
I
sick,
believe Apple already did that, right? So there was an alert. The Apple will give you alerts if you have the ECG of your
the two
heart
things
rate
Apple
goes
does.
goes
Yeah, so Apple
haywire.
measures your heart rate, and like if your heart rate falls below a certain threshold or above a certain threshold, it can send alerts to people that you have identified.
Hmm.
And it can also do a general SOS call when the like 911 is dialed in the
Hmm.
US. But that's not all I'm getting at. I'm getting at the fact that after a certain age, you need to have regular checkups, like maybe every 6 months or every quarter.
Hmm.
What if we could have variables that eliminated that altogether? What if we could have a centralized repository that made sure that we stayed healthy, like we didn't mess up? Like maybe if I wasn't taking a medicine on time, like my mom and a certain measure of medicine that she has to take, like what if she forgot to take that? Is there a way that I can continuously monitor this? Like if, or is that an invasion of privacy?
Um, it's good and bad. So I would say it's a necessary evil. Yes, it will give you peace of mind, providing
Yeah.
the proper time where the patient have to take the medication. But then how much more of data are you going to extract through that? Is that going to be the question? How much of
Right.
invasion of privacy will that cause you?
Because it sort of ties in with that earlier conversation of ours where like you speak and the devices listen and then provide more targeted responses. Like
Hmm.
how do you know whether they're capturing medical data as well? Like if you say that, as an example, I'd hurt my shoulder, right? Like I got a ligament strain of sorts while working out.
Hmm.
Now, how do I know that my devices aren't already capturing that? And the next time I Google shoulder, I get a recommendation around how I can protect my shoulder or heal my shoulder.
It's true.
And is that a bad thing? That's not a
I
bad
mean,
thing either,
I
right?
don't think it's a bad thing. If you think about it, your phone, if
Mhm.
you watching your phone, literally every 5 seconds it takes an infrared picture. You know that, right?
No.
Yeah, every 5 seconds they did this experiment. So especially the iPhone. So if you're holding your phone in front of you and they had an infrared camera faced towards it, it's taking a five every 5 seconds. It's taking an infrared picture to confirm your I don't know what it's trying to do, but basically it takes a 5 second every 5 seconds there's an infrared picture.
Interesting.
So
Maybe just to see whether you're awake or, I mean, like whether the device needs to stay awake or not. Like they have that timer thing. And is infrared bad for you? Is like there was this whole conversation about how telephonic waves weren't great for you and therefore you shouldn't have your phones next to your bed.
yeah, I mean it causes disturbances of sleep. Some people who are light sleepers, maybe you have disturbances of sleep because of phones. Um, but apart from that, like how much of I mean, it's good to have this technology, but how much of invasion of privacy is going to be? Like how, like you always got to think about the third perspective. Who is going to access your data, and how sure are you that data is going to be, like, without being shared to anybody.
Maliciously
Yeah,
used as well.
exactly.
Fine. So key balance is required.
Hmm.
Let's let's change gears and talk about AI. I know we've mentioned AI a few times in our previous podcasts. Let's talk about AI. What are your thoughts on AI with personalization? Like what I see as an example is people are looking at the people. It feels like it's almost like a trending word where machine learning is just you're just changing the words and then saying AI powered X solution, AI powered Y solution. Yesterday I was looking up animation just to see whether we could make these videos that we have a little more engaging. And there was this company that had active physics, where instead of you programming an action, you could just click on active physics and this thing would automate it for you. Like it would the character would jump and kick and do whatever you needed. You didn't have to actually draw out how a character needs to play basketball. Or if your legs were skewed, like if you drew legs, assume these are feet, yeah. So if you drew legs pointing this way, active physics would fix that up for you. So you have these great you have AI that's really helping you with those aspects. Where else do you think, or what do you think AI's overall impact will be on personalization?
So basically, AI will become the data cruncher. So all this data which is coming in, raw data, is going to be crunched by AI and give you a proper feedback, which can be used by like researchers. So like say you're getting all this, you go to this. There was this Amazon store, right? So you can go in there and they have all these cameras. There's no cashiers, none of that stuff, right? So it's all automated. So all this data they're collecting, from that, AI is going to crunch it for you. So they give you
And do
the
what exactly?
so they give you basically all this so the data which they collect. So they'll what do you say in the store especially. What do you really looking for customers to do? You personalizing them. So let's say the customer comes in, you
You mean
ask
you're personalizing the journey
yes
of a
for them.
customer? All right.
Yes.
Okay.
So I mean, there's entire stores, like cashier free. You can walk anywhere you want to, and you're given prompts based on your previous buying habits. So that's one
Prompts
itself.
how? How are these prompts delivered?
So let's say you were in this the automated store. The
Sure.
store might give you the prompts on your phone, where exactly, like you said, the milk and the bread. Where is it located in the store? Without you go asking the assistant right there, the store helper. Like you don't have to go and ask. Everything is prompted on your phone. So your previous shopping habits will give you an access to how easily you can maneuver the store, go buy whatever you need to buy, and go and you know check out without doing. You don't even have to check out. Basically, just charge your card, just because you picked it up and put it in your cart.
Can I build on that?
Sure.
So when the metaverse came out, this was one of the use cases that I thought of. Exactly what you brought up, with like a store in the metaverse, like
Hmm.
whichever metaverse you like for us to have. The advantage with the metaverse is that when like you can be an very individualistic, and as a company, I can really target in on what you need with respect to your journey in the metaverse. So if you walk into a retail store in the metaverse, you don't have to have other individuals. You don't have to have a line as an example. You could just like, I know your purchase behavior. I know what you like. So you walk in and let's say I fill your cart with all the products that you want, and then you could just like pick it up and drop it in the air and they disappear. You could add products like we were talking about this, right? Like you walk in and then things that I know you might like will be at eye level. We don't
Hmm.
have to we could exploit that to a point where I know what you stylish care about, and that will be at eye level in the first aisle. You don't have to go about exploring the entire supermarket. Like you are free to do so, but I can categorize things based on your affinity towards that product. Like
Recommended for you.
recommendations,
Yeah,
exactly, recommendations at another level. So
yeah,
you walk into the store, you walk out of the store, and then this can be delivered to you at your in the physical world.
yeah. It's your doorstep. So you buy everything in the metaverse, and then they'll come to your doorstep. Exactly.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
Albertsons has done something like this. They did this in I read this article where Albertsons, this grocery store in the US, they implemented a similar concept where you could purchase cans of Coke as an example, and it would be delivered physically to you. They
Hmm.
did this in Cyber Monday, I think, so sometime in November of last year.
I mean, most of these tech companies now are going toward personalization, right? Like Instacart, Instamart. So you go online, you want to go shop. They right away give you recommendations for you based on your previous shopping experiences.
So
Like
is
how
Zuckerberg right? Will there be an explosion into the metaverse? He's just got the timing wrong, or what are your thoughts
it's
there?
just gonna the metaverse thing is gonna take time, a little bit more time for just for everybody to come on to it because it's just take like the tools are not there yet. Like
To
probably
access the metaverse, right?
exactly the Vision Pro is gonna help, but then let's see how much of
$3,500, very accessible.
3,500. Yeah, so let's see how accessible that is. So I mean, that is one step in the direction. So once that comes in, you're going to have other players coming in trying to lower the price, and the competition starts, right?
You already have that, right? Like the
Yeah.
Nreal, X-Real glasses that we were talking about two weeks ago. The HoloLens, Mark Zuckerberg touts that as the more accessible product.
No,
And
no,
he's
the
also
Quest
talking,
Pro.
oh,
HoloLens is
sorry.
Microsoft.
My bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quest.
Thanks. My bad. Quest.
Yeah, yeah. So you can't confuse it. Mark Zuckerberg going to be mad at you.
Yeah, well,
So yeah,
all right.
so that's. I think we covered most some of the use cases. I think we should have another one probably on a deeper use cases on just this, on
Possibly.
personalization. Yeah.
Possibly. All right, man. Like, it was a good chat. Do you want to have closing thoughts?
Why don't you go ahead with it? You go. You good with closing thoughts?
Sure. Um, we talked about we talked about personalization in healthcare. We talked about personalization in your shopping experience. I think with the growing adoption of AR, with the metaverse coming in, with more immersive experience devices enabling us, I think personalization is most definitely the future. It is just around the corner. You can expect it in you can expect it in full force, I think. We started with personalization with a smaller population. We moved to an environment where, because of our growing population, we have to accommodate individuals because of macroeconomic factors like economy or
Globalization.
healthcare. Health, yeah, I was thinking about the fact that the past wasn't exactly salubrious, nor was the last year, considering the pandemic. But like people are healthier than before, people are wealthier than before. There's more disposable income. So I feel like there is that we can take that step towards investing in essentials that are tailor made for us. Shoes aren't supposed to crease. You're not supposed to struggle with moving around your arms in a shirt. You're supposed to be able to walk in and walk out of a store on your own terms. I don't want to buy a banana because it was the last banana there. I'd like to buy the banana because it was made for me. Like as a thought, like these are the nutrients that I need.
Oh,
Maybe
you
we
want
could
to
have
make them?
products that I want a banana that gives me the nutrients that, like, let's say the folic acid from apples or citric acid from oranges. Why don't you give me those nutrients in a fruit that I actually like? Like, I'd like to live in a world where I'm able to have whatever I like to attune to my tastes that will provide me with whatever I want. Like, that would be fantastic. I think it is reasonable today. to expect that.
Agreed.
Anyway, those are my thoughts. That's where I think we're
Personalized
headed.
fruits.
That's what personalized fruits. Yeah, that's what you took away from this. It was random. I just happened to think about it, but yeah,
Anyways,
personalized fruits.
thank you, everybody. It was
All right,
fantastic.
thank you. See you on the next one. Goodbye.